Alright, welcome to this tutorial in which we're going to be looking at how to seamlessly mask certain parts of your clip while adding a clean, clear glow to them. Until now, we've made this whole edit, and I hope you've understood the concepts of scaling, effects, lighting, adding overlays, adding zooms, and sense of motion and all that. And by now, you should be able to make a pretty good edit. Just a note, all glows may be different due to the difference in clips, but to achieve similar effects, what you can do is, just in case, add 3 plus glows, each with a value lower than the other, and add a white glow, which is mandatory for any of the 3. So let's look on to our glow and masking. So I'm gonna take the first clip over here and copy the clip up here. So what I'm gonna be doing is masking this. Now what I want to mask is this part of the clip right here. So I'm gonna be using my smart cutout feature. Here is my pen button, and with that I'm gonna be selecting what I want to select from my clip. And since I'm going to select this, I'm going to be using this. So if I want to remove a selection, I can just do this, and I can even make multiple selections like this, or even this, and decreasing the brush size will obviously be more efficient. For example, let me show you. If I'm going to select this with smaller brush, see how clean that looks. And the best part is that all of this is done for you throughout your clip by just clicking on the double-headed arrow. So with that, every frame is automatically registered for you. Now, what are we going to be doing with this? So first of all, we're not going to be using the glow effect. And why is that? Because that adds an automatic drop shadow, which looks really weird. So for that, we're going to be using the BCC plus glow and increasing the brightness to full, because in these types of edits you really need to make the most out of your attention span. And I'm gonna be using blue like this one. Let's tone down the brightness a bit, and you can see that I've put the X on 0 and the Y, I'm controlling the Y, so it really moves my glow vertically, and in the X axis it moves it horizontally. So I would really prefer this way, as this just adds a huge drop shadow. And the fix for the drop shadow is basically just going to the video and clicking on drop shadow, and just select white so that there can be no more of that dark shadow you witness. I'm just gonna be using a lighter blue, and with that I'm done. So that's how easy it is, and I really don't want to use this on all of my clip, so that's why I'm gonna be keyframing it from time to time. For example, I can just clip this from here to here, and then I can make it appear gradually by keyframing the opacity from 0 to 100. And I can make it start a bit from the back so that it's a bit more visible. Now we're going to be adding the starlight effect, and let me tell you, when would I use this? I would just use this whenever my clips are darkening, and just use this for a frame or two to give just a sense of a framer, if you know what I mean, which I've explained in my previous tutorial. So what I'm just gonna do over here is, where was it? Here it is. And I'm going to turn this on, and you can just copy these settings, play around with the sensitivity to make it more bright or dim the brightness. And the same thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna clip it at certain parts where I think is best. I can use this a bit above in the layer so that it becomes a bit more visible. So with this you can just utilize that effect anywhere in this edit. So the basic and most important things for editing is just masking and cutting certain parts of your clips out, which the smart cutout makes very easy. And so that's the advantage of using Filmora 13. You can make really good use of compound clips and effects, the masking features, that really gives an edge. And here this looks really complete to me. And yeah, now that the video effects are done, we're gonna be jumping into the audio effects. Before we start, a pro tip is that divide your audio effects clip by clip so that it's easier for you to understand what's going on in each clip. Alright, let's get started. So I'm gonna start with my intro, and my intro is nothing but just my Mystics logo, which you can get in my server by becoming a member. Now the audio effects I've added in this is the phone sound effect, which you can find in the effects tab underneath the audio effects tab, the voice filters. Now what I've used in this edit is the big room effect and the phone effect, and these are my most used audio effects. And let me tell you why. So if you listen to this, now if you close on this layer, so you can see that it's a very suppressed sound, and that's what I was aiming for. You can even avoid this lower layer. I've just added this so that this doesn't become too much prominent, but in the end it just makes a slight difference. Alright, now that the intro is done, I'm gonna be moving on to the first clip, which was this one. So to cover up the blank spaces of the audio, I've added a build-up, and to end that build-up I've added a whoosh, and this is like the most basic sound effects which you should know, that after a build-up we add a whoosh, and all of these are available in the Google Drive link below. So now that that's done, I've started my sound effects from the second loop, as I've added 3 loops to this edit. And if you want to learn how to make this single effect, then I'll be happy to make a video about that. You can comment down below, and there may be some things that you have never seen before in the previous tutorials, and you can just work around your way with that. I've added all the media in the Google Drive link. And yeah, so let's start with the first clip, and let's go to the second loop. This is the second loop, and this is the first clip. So what I've done here is that I've added a I've added a whoosh, and this is like the best whoosh. I use this all the time. So I've added this to like give an opening to my sound effects. And since I've stated multiple times in the previous tutorials when I was making this first clip that I wanted a sense of suspense, and yeah, so that's why I've faded out the audio, as you can hear. So this is like faded out totally, and to cover up the faded out, as you can see, it's very silent right now. So to cover this up, I've added the same audio clip down below, but with lower decibel values. So if you listen to it now, it looks better. Yeah, so now that the original audio is done, I've added sound effects. So first of all, the voice clip acts as a background sound effect to cover up the silence, and then I've added a reverse bass effect, which you can find in the link below. And to me it sounds good. It's all about texturing your sound clips so that they don't sound too blank. So if you remove the reverse bass effect, it's like this, but with it sounds better in my opinion, and it even fits the clip. Okay, now we move on to the second clip. So what I've done here is that I noticed that I added a lightning effect, and this lightning effect I used a laser eye effect, which was in the stickers tab, and you can use the electricity 06 effect for this. I used this one and I masked it to fit the eye, so you can do this as well. I used the laser eye effect in the tutorial which I was showing you how to do this. In the end, it's up to you. So I added the electricity effect, and it gave me an opportunity to add more sound effects. So that's why I added a electricity sound effect here, over here, and I started it before the clip starts, because if you add it here, it's gonna look really rushed and it won't even fit what you're seeing. So the electricity effect's done, and then what I did was fade out the clip, fade out the audio as the clip was fading out, and then I faded out the audio again as the clip was fading out again. So you can see I've doubled the fade out effect. So with each beat the sound rises, and as the beat ends the sound ends as well. So that's the effect I was going for, and to cover this silence over here I've added a whoosh so it doesn't look really silent. Alright, so this clip's done and the third clip's also done, but since the third clip was too long I had to divide it into two. So first this was with not much effects, and then here the real effects began. And so here I added the eye effect. Here I added the eye effect as soon as my video effects were starting. I brought up the sound effect earlier. Otherwise, if you add it exactly to where the effects start, then it's the same thing that your audio clip won't be matching with what you see, because you hear first then you see. That's like that's basically physics. I can explain it more. Okay, so here is the bass drop. I've added a bass drop effect as soon as this audio clip starts. And then what I went with were the normal sound effects. So I see a character kicking, I added a kick impact, and then I see that he's about to punch him, I add a punch build up. I was supposed to add a punch sound effect, but instead I added a whoosh to continue the third loop. So I hope you understood this. Basically the point is that you have to layer your sound effects to make them sound more detailed, and for example adding just a whoosh wouldn't really make sense because there are no supporting elements. So for a whoosh you need build up, for a whoosh you need textures for the background, and you can add voice clips for that. It doesn't really matter, but you just have to match the scene. For example, like here I see an electricity effect and lightning thunder effect, so for that I've added a lightning sound effect. Adding a fire effect would literally not make any sense. So it's all about matching your clip with your audio and giving more detail to your audio clips as well as your video effects. So with this, our tutorial is done, and we'll be adding the final touches and the color correction in the next one.